Alrighty, you all. Hello, my name's Tyler Stout. I'm here from Troquet. I am the chef here. Today we're going to be doing French onion soup. One of my favorites. It's perfect for the winter time, really year round for me. But it is a favorite here at the restaurant. I'm going to show you how we make it for the restaurant and go over every step. But I'll be sure to email the recipe over for anyone to make for 3, 4, 5 people. So what we like to do, I like to have about 75%, 80% Spanish onion, and the remainder about 20, 25 of red onion. I love herbs, especially in the wintertime, hard herbs. We use in almost everything, at least some kind of herb. What I have here is rosemary, thyme, tarragon, and bay leaf, all fresh. We do use a good bit of alcohol for this dish. We have red wine and we have sherry. I use a touch of Madeira as well. I'll be sure to give you all the exact increments per item. Here I have garlic and shallot, equal parts. For this recipe, I'm using 2 whole tablespoons. That's heavy. That is, once again, the amount that we use for production for the restaurant. For you, we'll probably be using teaspoon, tablespoon tops, depending on how much garlic you like. And that's that. I don't add any other animal fat to the dish. I just use olive oil. The strength really comes from the demi that we use. The demi is a reduced veal stock. Once again, this is for the restaurant, so it's reduced all the way down for sauces. We will thin this out with either veggie stock or water, whatever you have. So let's go ahead and get started. Just lightly coat the pan that you're using. I prefer to use a rondo or a bigger soup pot. I think a rondo is a better bet, especially if you have a bigger one. You can caramelize the onions a little better, and they're going to cook faster, just with sheer surface area. Okay. Doesn't matter what onion goes in first. Go ahead and put it all in at the same time. Remember, we want the flame to be fairly low, about medium-low heat. We don't want to burn any of the onions. It's very important that nothing gets burnt because it will drastically affect the flavor of the soup. So I'm adding the red and the Spanish onion now. And while the onions cook, it's important to add salt now. Salt will help break down the onions while it's cooking. Also, obviously for seasoning. I add pepper towards the end, at the very end when I am tasting, to adjust seasoning. Not much sense putting it in now, because these onions will take every bit of 30, 45 minutes to cook down. It's really a slow process. There's nothing fast about French onion soup. So the other ingredients that we will need that we haven't talked about is crostini. So you can take any bread, even preferably stale bread. Baguette is best. Slice it thin, simply just toast it, and that's all you do for a crostini. Here we put a little olive oil, Maldon salt, and pepper on the slices of bread. And that gets us this. Very simple. Doesn't need to be perfect. I do recommend cutting the slice of baguette about a centimeter, if not a touch thicker, because when you do put it in the soup to finish, it will want to absorb a lot of the soup. So the thicker it is, the less time it'll take to absorb. Therefore, you won't have a big sloppy. You want some crunch with the crostini. You don't want it to just turn into soft bread. You do want to enjoy some crunch. Otherwise, the whole soup is just soft. And to continue to that, you'll also need a good bit of Gruyere. I would say about ½ cup per person to coat the soup. So when you put the soup into the cup container, you're going to put your crostini, and then you top it off with the shaved Gruyere, and then you put it in a broiler, or here we call it the salamander, until it turns golden brown. So like I said, this is going to take a little while. Once these start to soften up a bit, I'm going to add the garlic and shallots and my herbs. This I'm going to wrap in cheesecloth right now, and then tie it up. Always make sure your hands are clean. No real rhyme or reason with cheesecloth. I don't believe there's any wrong way to do it if you just ensure that nothing comes out. And you also don't want too many layers of cheesecloth as well, because you want the herbs to flavor the soup. So I'm tying this with butcher's twine. Once again, no real rhyme or reason. Just making sure that everything is enclosed and we're all good to go. Okay, so after about 30 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes, depending on the surface area of whatever vessel you're using to cook the onions, these will soften up. The volume of the onions is going to go down tenfold. And then from there, we'll add our bouquet of herbs and our garlic shallots. We'll see you after about 30 minutes. Thank you. It's been about 30 to 45 minutes, depending on the surface area of your pot. We're gonna now add the bouquet of herbs and the garlic and shallot. We'll give this a stir. We'll continue cooking this for about, it'll probably continue going for another 45 minutes until we're ready to add the demi. Now we're going to go ahead and add the liquor and the wine. So that's red wine, Madeira, sherry. Once the wine, the alcohol cooks off, from there we will add our demi, our reduced veal stock, and then we just let that simmer for another 30-ish minutes. so now that the alcohol is cooked off a bit, we are going to add our veal stock. For the restaurant, we have the demi already reduced all the way. So now we're going to dilute it a little bit with water to make it just veal stock rather than a reduced demi. So now I'm putting a reduced demi in, and I will do half part water to bring it more of a stronger veal stock, but not quite all the way reduced. Once again, with the recipe that I have, I will edit that recipe for just veal stock rather than reduced demi. Actually, I'll do both just in case some happen to have some reduced demi. Okay, so this was about 3 quarts. I'm gonna make it 4 total. About 2 quarts of water. Right. So once again, we'll hurry up and wait. We're going to stir this, get it all incorporated, and then we'll simmer for another 45 minutes. So now we've developed flavor in stages. Rather than just putting everything in the pot, you're not going to develop flavor properly if you don't do this in the proper stages. I like my soup with French onion soup with lots and lots of onions. I don't like it too soupy. So because of that, you'll see it's pretty packed. All right. After about another 40-ish minutes of simmering, we'll taste, season, and then we'll build the soup. Great. All right, so this is what it looks like now. It's pretty much there. It's all set. Now we're gonna go to finish the seasoning. So from there, we'll add a little bit of sherry vinegar, Worcestershire, and salt and pepper to taste. We want to make sure you don't over season with salt, because soup is one of those things that you're going back in. So after a while, it can be, the salt can definitely add up, especially after that 4th or 5th bite. And don't forget, the crostini should be seasoned, and any kind of cheese naturally adds salinity to any dish. So now, finishing with what I have is about 2 tablespoons of sherry vinegar, 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire. That is going in. Obviously, the recipe that I give you will be much less. But just because that's my recipe, you can alter that in any way that you like. That is no problem. Okay. So we shouldn't need to add too much salt. We added the salt at the beginning. Now we should just make small little changes, taste for seasoning, but it shouldn't require too much salt after we had seasoned from earlier. Okay, excuse me with my mask. So no real rhyme or reason. All onions are different. It also depends on how well you caramelize them. That will affect the salt that you use. So you'll know in the recipe, it'll say salt and pepper to taste. It won't have an exact amount of salt or pepper, because if you cook the onions properly, those onions should be sweetened. If they cook a little too fast, they won't caramelize properly and they won't be too sweet. Therefore, if I give you an exact finite amount of salt, that would be too much salt to use because it would make the dish overly salty. So now I'm chasing one more time. I think we're all good there. Okay. So now to complete the dish. At the restaurants we have a lion's head bowl. Gilda una cucharon para mí, porfa, una grande. So we have the lion's head, very classical French. Paul Bocuse is known for his truffle soup as well as French onion, and this is what is used. So to finish the dish, at the restaurants, fill the soup up. Obviously at home you can use however much you would like. You can use any vessel. I just recommend you use a very sturdy ceramic vessel. Anything that's not too sturdy, it could break with the intense heat of the broiler. All right. From there, we'll add a few of the crostinis. Thank you. And then we load up on the cheese. Obviously, you can use however much you prefer. At the restaurant, we put a good amount. And then now it goes into the broiler. Of course, that would happen. All right, after a few minutes in the broiler, it should look like that. We're all set. At the restaurant, take it out of the broiler. We finish it with fresh chives. Serve like that. There you are. French onion soup. Pretty easy.